Picket here. Well, I thought I'd try another reaction video, so I want to see if I could try my hand at a video that has multiple topics at once. So, because I happen to be a veteran of several social medias, I mean, I was practically online since before the mid-2000s, so yeah, I'm that old. Figured I may as well react to Magic Mush's on the fallen social media of old. I definitely recognize quite a few entries, though one may actually surprise you on how I actually don't have experience with. So let's go ahead and cut to the screen here.
We live in the year 2024. We live in the most technology-dependent era we ever have in our entire existence. We rely on machines and the internet to do a ton of heavy lifting for us, just a little bit longer, and we're going to be living in that reality Wally has predicted for us. We have access to a whole
that's a movie I need to see again.
It should be cool and exciting, but the reality is, we actually live in the most boring time to be on the internet.
Yeah, especially with the rise of AI. Yeah, it's only going to get even more boring and depressing. Seriously, when is that AI bubble going to burst already?
In the old days, there was next to no regulation on the web. You could find pretty much anything you wanted. There were so many strange places you could come across, and you would never forget coming across them if you did. These places, being good or bad, is definitely up to the beholder, but it was an experience. It's not like that anymore. Everything is regulated now. Everything is controlled by someone or something bigger than you. They will decide what gets to stay and what gets stomped out. You will go to the same handful of websites, and only those handful of websites.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we did kind of do that in the past as well. I mean, forums were a thing after all. You go to one forum, you only really visit a cool link that your friends post. I mean, you could argue forums were basically the first social media. I call them more an equivalent to a Discord server these days. It's kind of funny how it came full circle on that.
The exploring aspect is all but gone. The website wars were fought, and the victors get to keep the spoils of being used by everyone. That also goes for social media. Today, we have only a small pool of social media sites everybody uses. Facebook for the old people, TikTok for the young people, and Twitter/X for the mentally ill people. How we decide.
I mean, there's also Blue Sky for the mentally ill people on the other side. I say this as a Blue Sky user. Unless you're a Threads user. Either way.
Decide what social medias we all use today was basically a case of trial and error if it got to stay. And most of the time, it didn't. All the big boy sites right now are currently resting on the pile of corpses that is old social media sites. Many have come and gone, some leaving a longer lasting impact than others, and they all failed for a number of reasons. And I thought it'd be fun to go over some of these failed social experiments. Well,
oh yeah, spoiler alert, Tumblr's not on here. Mainly because there's only really one... There's really only one way to summarize it. Porn got banned, the end. Yeah, I know, I'm still using that joke.
Welcome to the many tales of...
Also, no, they didn't get rid of the porn bots. They never do.
Failures with inflated egos and squandered opportunities. Welcome to... But first, Daddy needs a new roof.
Okay, yeah, let's let the ad play.
But as you would know, roofs are expensive.
I mean, we may as well let him make money off the
Many
video we're
don't
stealing.
expenses. Well, today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you cancel subscriptions, lower bills, and manage your money better. I'm using Rocket Money.
Does that actually work? I never actually used it.
Since there are so many these days, and I just can't keep up with all of them. It's
You
a
have
great
plenty
way
of
to keep up
subscriptions.
with
I
them, and
definitely
makes it
need
super easy
to.
to cancel one if I need to.
You're getting rid of.
I'm also using Rocket Money to set budgets for myself. You ever just walk into a nondescript game store and see a selection of games you want, but you're just not sure if you should buy any? Using Rocket Money, I can set a budget for myself to let me know if it'll have any lasting impact on my basic needs and how flexible I can be with my money. Thanks, Rocket Money! Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. To save more and spend less, join the over 5 million members using Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/magicmush or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/magicmush to get started for free. I use it all the time. Trust me.
Well, you all saw the link. Go ahead and send him money. Oh man. Now there was a shitstorm and a half.
Do you like your YouTube channel? I like mine because it makes me money. If it wasn't obvious a little earlier. But do you...
It doesn't make me... Mine doesn't make me money, but... Shit just happens. I'm a VTuber. Just kinda... comes par with the course if you're indie.
You know who also likes money? Google, the company that owns YouTube.
Word.
They love money. What corporation doesn't? Google has for decades...
Well, unless they're Nintendo. Yes, we still make that joke these days.
Attempted many experiments and products over the years to try and squeeze money out of the masses. Being known as...
I mean, they do have that graveyard for a reason.
The search that 99% of the planet uses wasn't enough, apparently. There's a whole website called Killed by Google.
Yep, that's the one.
The purpose of archiving everything Google has axed over the years, with stuff like Google Goggles, Google Video, and of course, their failed attempt at social media, Google+. Google Plus was not their first foray into attempting a social media platform, as they had already tried a few times in the past, all of which died on the vine. But Google Plus is no doubt their most well-known and infamous attempt. Google Plus was introduced in 2011, and in 2011, that's when a massive boom of popularity towards social media platforms was happening, and Google wanted in on it, specifically to...
I mean, to be fair, it kind of made sense on paper. Just the way Google implemented it was just absolute dog shit.
Counter the titan that was Facebook at the time. So this was pushed out the door to...
Oh man, there was a time when Facebook was actually popular among the masses. I mean, nowadays, they do on Snapchat, and now they have Threads, so yeah, I guess they're maintaining their relevance, even if it's in a different form.
To achieve that. Now, I like to think I speak for mostly everyone when I say, nobody wants to juggle multiple social medias at once. So the goal here was, since everyone uses Google, they wanted to essentially replace Facebook and have you use Google Plus for all your social media needs now, which is a lot more difficult than Google realized. Facebook was undeniably the biggest social media platform in 2011, and Google didn't really seem to grasp that getting everyone to stop using it was a fool's errand. Google Plus had a...
Notice that YouTube was also doing massive amounts of numbers on that graph. It might have contributed to a very specific factor in Google Plus's downfall.
A load of features to try and compete with Facebook. One of them was the Circles feature. You could put all your friends and family in certain groups catering to specific labels. And if you were interested in a certain thing, you could choose to share it with only specific circles and add friends and other people who were also interested in the same thing. And then it would start recommending you topics catering to your tastes. You know, typical algorithm feeding stuff in its early days.
That just sounds like sharing stuff on Discord with extra steps, in all honesty. Actually, wait, I don't think Discord actually existed back then. Sharing shit on Skype with extra steps? I don't know. Skype's dead. I don't remember how the hell that site worked.
There was also the Google Hangout feature, allowing you to video call friends or just search around and talk to random people. Maybe you would even be lucky enough to run into some genocidal maniacs along the way.
Randy's jump scare. Jesus fucking Christ.
You can say a lot about Google Plus, but you can't say they didn't try. Even with all these features and enticing aspects, they didn't really have anything to offer that Facebook couldn't. This was more so an alternative to Facebook rather than a flat-out replacement like Google wanted. But impressively, in the year it launched, it reached a total of 90 million users. Hell, by 2013, they had over 540 million users. That's crazy good numbers. But if so many people were...
I mean, to be fair, it did actually have fans. And unfortunately, it also had haters after a really infamous decision, which Magic Mush will bring up in a minute.
Were using it, why did it die off like it did? Well, that's because all is not as it seems. Yes, it did have over 500 million users, but in reality, those numbers are incredibly inflated. You see, in order to make sure they got the maximum amount of users as possible, Google also decided to integrate Google Plus with YouTube. And by that I mean, if you wanted to make a YouTube account, or even to keep using the one you already had, you had to make a Google Plus account. It was mandatory.
Yeah. People who remember this and now have to deal with the Face ID shit nowadays are probably getting a massive ting of deja vu. Methinks you aren't being mad enough.
You did not get a choice in the matter. You were going to make a Google Plus account, and you were going to like it. People did not like it. In fact, people were very vocal about not liking it. Google Plus was a punching bag on YouTube for a good bit. Some of YouTube's biggest stars at the time took every opportunity to take a jab at it, and the fact that they were forced to use it to even use the platform.
Now I have to have the Google Plus integration? Nobody wants to use Google Plus! You know what makes somebody...
Oh, this was before all the allegations of Boogie 298 came out, so, you don't have to hate his inclusion here right this minute.
hate a service or a website? Forcing them to use it! You know,
2010's really more of a lasted
to use Google Plus, I find it
or off the
highly
internet.
interesting. Said no one ever!
We're on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus! Yeah!
It wasn't just YouTube either. Anything that had Google at the helm would basically force you to sign up and use a Google Plus account, even if you didn't want to. People weren't signing up for Google Plus because they wanted to use it. People were signing up for Google Plus because they didn't have a choice.
Papa, why do they not love me?
I do not know, little one, but it is of no concern. I will make them love you.
They were unable to make us love them.
Weird rules and regulations nobody liked. Like, the fact at one point they had the requirement you had to use your real first and last name for Google Plus, and therefore your first and last name for everything. Yeah, that's...
Yeah. If you're wondering why not a lot of people use pseudonyms nowadays, this was one of the contributing factors. I still use pseudonyms, but only because I happen to have known how to jump through all those hoops, so a lot of people just made alternate accounts. Nobody ever knew their main. Unless they were referring to Michael Star 1, Michael Star 2.
It's a smart idea. If that were in place today, doxing will be more rampant than ever. I was a freshman in high
It still
school
is.
when this Google Plus stuff was happening. We were required to make Gmail accounts for school stuff, and I didn't want my full name to be out there, so I made 2 Google Plus accounts. But I must have messed something up, so imagine how awkward it was to explain to the teacher why they had gotten emails from the most autistic-sounding Nintendo-adjacent name you could think of. People just hated the service.
That's what
and
you
everything
know,
related
more
to it.
than.
People would rally against it in YouTube comments, spamming the same copy pasta over and over to express their distaste with it. It seems like everywhere you looked, you saw nothing but disdain for Google+. Many people set up accounts and never used them, because Google+ was just a hurdle people had to jump to do the stuff they actually wanted to do. And over at Google, the company morale around Google Plus was just pitiful. It feels
Yeah, the CEO desperately wanted this and wanted Google Plus to work for some reason. It just wouldn't let it die yet. And they really should have let it die. Just like the Stadia.
feels like nobody wanted to actually work on it and just did it because Google wanted it to succeed, and it didn't. To top it all off, someone broke into it.
Of course.
Millions of people's data stolen. Great job, Google. All these problems just piled on top of each other year after year until Google realized it was finally time to pull the plug. Google Plus was finally killed off in 2019. Just another footnote in a long string of projects Google has axed. Now all that really remains of it is vague memories and old YouTube videos still up that were created just to dunk on it.
Oh, and the rise of the alt-right. Oh, yeah, I'm not kidding, by the way. It's actually theorized that the rise of the alt-right YouTube channels in the late 2010s was 100% because they were able to use the Google Circles feature to organize and ultimately make groups. I believe Destiny also rose to prominence because of it. So if you have anyone to blame for the rise of Destiny, Sargon of Akkad, and other shithead pundits like that, now you know.
Google is still one of the biggest companies in the world. They experiment constantly, and most of the time, those experiments fail, and they just drop it and move on to the next thing. This won't be stopping anytime soon. They tried another social media shortly after axing Google Plus, and even less people use this one. Hell, most people didn't even know it existed. But if you
Neither
were
did I.
around during the time, everyone who used YouTube knew Google Plus existed, and we all hated it. It's proof hating something can bring us all together in some way.
Ain't that the truth?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, or Google Plus. Google Plus. Google Plus.
Oh God, I miss Vine. Said Tarzan before he plummeted to his death.
This is probably going to be
Yeah, I
the most
know. I
nostalgic
enjoy
section this
stealing
week
YouTube
for
comments.
a lot of people, including me. Yes, I'm going to be talking about the biggest wasted potential of the mid-2010s, Vine. If you were growing up in the mid-2010s, preferably middle or high school, no doubt you at least heard of Vine. It was one of the hottest new social media sites around the time, with a unique concept. The app focused on video content, or more specifically, 6-second videos. That was the limit. Every video uploaded to Vine was 6 seconds long. Get everything you want out in that very short time frame. That was the appeal of Vine. When you were given such limitations like that, it forced people to get creative, and that was a reason why Vine took off like it did. What?
Yeah, I know. It was probably the most genius thing ever. And also kind of why it might have failed, in all honesty.
People did when they were given 6 seconds to make watchable content was so fun and creative, it became addictive to see what people would come up with. Vine was destroying attention spans before it was cool. And so...
Ain't that the truth?
Launching in January of 2013, it became one of the fastest growing apps at the time. By November, it had become the most used video sharing app on every digital storefront. People were...
Man, I still have fond memories finding new Vine videos on Tumblr. Probably one of my bigger bright spots on that site.
eating it up. Animations, skits, all done within 6 seconds.
How does it feel to be worst cop ever, huh? Shut up, your mother buys you Mega Blocks instead of Legos. You fucking take that back.
What Vine was mostly known for was its comedy clips. Comedy was easily Vine's biggest strength. You'd see all sorts of attempts at being funny, to varying degrees of success.
I mean, to be fair, For Vine, it was actually more acceptable for the videos to be hit and miss since, well, they were only 7 seconds and you could just go to the next one if you don't really like that specific joke. It was basically TikTok before TikTok, is what I'm saying. Okay, that one we like on Vine.
There's a few familiar faces here. Yeah, Vine also launched the careers of many current year e-celebs, and sadly some of these we still had to put up with to this day. Yeah, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, as is the case with a lot of content producing social media. There was also some trash you had to sift through. Oh lord, some of the memes on this site got really annoying, really fast. Words cannot describe to you how obnoxious it was scrolling through a bunch of vids and hearing the words, "My name is Jeff," or "What are those?" over and over and over again. Vine used.
I mean, yeah, it was typical meme shit. You had plenty of those back in the day. I mean, let's face it. For the Vine jokes, it was basically images just being used over and over again on message boards. So yeah, I never really get mad at memes being overshared, much as basically the next thing, movie or series constantly being shared.
Users ran jokes and memes so hard into the damn ground, they never even really had a chance to live. Really, Vine did set the precedent for current social media, where it has a lot of regurgitated garbo, but those diamonds in the rough made the entire experience worth it.
Word.
Look at all those chickens.
So you have this incredibly popular and influential app, the most used video sharing service on multiple app stores. How did this all go wrong? Well, it may have looked like a success to the average person, but behind closed doors, it was a completely different story.
Yeah, it was just money. Sad to say, but 7 seconds is pretty hard to monetize. Which raises the question why they didn't just allow ad companies to just make videos of ad breaks in between the playing between the Vine videos. Would have been a pretty genius way to make money in hindsight.
In the 21st century, the end goal of every social media is to provide people a service to connect with their friends and keep them coming back, and make money off of that in some way. The end goal is always going to be cash. They can't keep the service running for free, you know. But Vine was also, very early on in its life, purchased by Twitter for $30 million, so you know they're going to want their money put to good use. And over time, it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. Vine had a major...
Yeah, Twitter was always just kind of a albatross of a company, even before Musk bought it. And I'm so happy that site is finally becoming cringe.
Your problem with monetization. They couldn't really find a way to make the service profitable, at least not enough for Twitter to be satisfied, and with them constantly breathing down their neck to make more money, it was a huge issue for Vine. The service was pretty much bleeding money for Twitter, and they desperately tried everything to fix it. To add on top of that, due to Vine's popularity, competition saw the potential and wanted their own piece of the pie, and started adding their very own short clip services, some of which allowed more time and seemed like the better option to Vine users. Many people...
Yeah, sadly, I don't think Vine would have survived in the YouTube Shorts and TikTok era. And especially since social media sites are basically adding video to everything nowadays. Well, even Blue Sky finally has videos. So, yeah, sadly, I Vine was just doomed to fail. Hard to say. Hate to say it, but it's the truth.
People started moving on, and the service was on death's door, but they were allowed one final offer to try and save the service. And here's when the story gets absurd. You ready for this? So everyone was moving from Vine to the next thing, right? It was just going to be another service left in the sands of time. But a couple of Vine's biggest stars moved into a Viner frat house, a house probably full of the most punchable faces to ever exist. They all banded together and talked with the higher-ups of Vine and offered them a deal. They wouldn't leave the website and would create 12 new Vine videos a month to keep the service afloat. If Vine gave them $1.2 million monthly each.
Yeah, let that sink in. Sunk in yet? That's why I think Vine was also doomed to fail.
Let me
I would have voluntarily killed Vine out of spite if I heard that deal.
remind you, these are 6-second videos. So that would basically add up to a little over 1 minute of content a month. And they think that's somehow worth over $1 million. The balls, the egos, the sense of unwarranted self-importance these Vine stars had has never been more obvious than here. I don't
Well,
care
except for that
who
incident,
you are
but
or how talented you are.
that's another
1 minute
story.
of content will never be worth anywhere close to that amount. Hell, I wouldn't pay you $5 for 1 minute of content. Unsurprisingly, neither Vine nor Twitter were very fond of this deal, so they rejected, and the Vine stars left for greener pastures. Without anybody to really keep people coming to the site, Vine died a slow and painful death all the way up until 2017, when it was finally shut down. Now that we have your TikToks and your Instagrams, Vine will forever be remembered, a short-lived but fun time you had with your friends. It came at the right time for it to be a success and sparked many careers, but it served its purpose in society, and everyone has moved on.
Yeah, sadly, Vine was a flash in the pan, and I think even the site was aware of it. So as much as I really loved Vine back in the day, and even I kind of knew it was gonna fade away at some point. And I outlived a lot of social media, so kind of knew this for a fact.
But you can never forget all the good times it gave you. I have one final question though. Where the hell are these YouTubers getting these Vine clips in 2024 from?
Yeah, it probably reruns. Can't deny it's pretty useful for lost media, though. Ah, boy. Oh, God, this one's gonna be a pretty divisive topic. Well, I knew this story was gonna come up, but trust me, you are not prepared to know how it ends.
I'm bending the rules a bit for this one, as this isn't like your typical social media that you're thinking of. But hey, it's an actual interesting story, and when the hell am I ever going to have the opportunity to talk about it? Leave me alone. I've mentioned this in a much older video, but in the early to mid-2000s, options for conversing with others were much more limited. You can go and annoy your favorite celebrity on pretty much any social media platform now, but back in the 2000s, the easiest way to interact with a community was message boards. Typically what one would do is find a message board dedicated to any topic you enjoyed, in this specific case, video games.
Yeah. Forums were basically the prototype for social medias today. I personally was part of the spriting community. Specifically a board called Mystic Forks Sprites, which underwent a few relaunches. I think there was also the middle ground, but I kind of left that site years ago. Don't remember the reason. Probably probably stupid anyways. Also, did you know that the mill ground is still up? Yeah, 20 years and that site is still running. How the fuck is that possible? Who knows?
There were tons of video game message boards back in the day, but we're only going to be focusing on one, that being NeoGAF. What started off as a message board for an old gaming website called Gaming Age in 1999, it would eventually splinter off and become its own thing in 2006. What is the importance of this gaming message board above all others? Well, all the other gaming message boards kind of existed in their own little bubble. What happened on those boards stayed on those boards. NeoGAF was a different story. NeoGAF just wasn't talking about the current games or consoles coming out, but it was also a place to discuss the ins and outs of the gaming industry. The sales and stuff.
I mean, to be fair, it was the message board of an old gaming magazine, so they'd probably have access to a lot more sources, is what I'm saying.
Talks of companies and their gaming products, business ethics. It was way more professional than your average gaming message board. But professional in big quotations, I might add. They thought so too, as you needed a professional email to even sign up for the website. A Gmail or Outlook account would get you nowhere here. So they took their message board very seriously. But
That could also be a factor.
being a message board for nerds in the 2000s, they all couldn't help themselves to be a little snarky and silly. One thing NeoGAF became known for was the mean gifs they created whenever something big happened in the gaming scene. A ton of these gifs were made as fun little things going on in the gaming industry, also for console wars. Yeah, despite the attempts at professionalism, you can't stop fanboys from being fanboys.
Word.
NeoGAF also had the reputation for being filled with tons of Sony and PlayStation fanboys.
Have you seen the PS3? That shit is nice, slick, black.
I mean, it did eventually become a decent console. Yeah, a couple of years down the line.
That shit is nice.
Look at this thread of people reacting to the PSP being revealed. How it's gonna destroy the DS. Now, we all point and laugh at these people in 2005 who weren't able to see into the future.
I mean, to be fair, the PSP is pretty good for jailbreaking. Well, it's better than the Vita, at least, but ain't nobody care about the Vita.
Because of the semi-professional image NeoGAF had, it got the attention of actual industry people. A number of industry vets and gaming journalists have had accounts on NeoGAF, some out in the open, and some pretty anonymously. Some of the people who had accounts on the website were like God of War creator David Jaffe and Cliff Belinsky, two people who definitely have not had their reputations ran into the ground since then. But then there were cases of industry.
Oh yeah, right. Forgot David Jaffe. He's Metroid playthrough. Probably for the best I did, actually.
People coming onto the site with different usernames just to talk smack and argue with others. In a noteworthy case, in 2007 when Peter Moore resigned, there was a user who was also requesting the marketing vice president Jeff Bell to leave as well. And then Jeff Bell went onto the board with an anonymous account just to shit-talk him. That's the kind of stuff that went on over here. NeoGAF is noteworthy enough to actually be featured in a video game. It's a usable object in the game Scribblenauts. They've also gotten compatible with...
Oh man, Scribblenauts. There's a game I need to play again.
some people in the gaming industry. Silicon Knights founder Dennis Dyack got into a huge fuss with them over the game Too Human, saying if the game flopped he would change his nickname on the site, and when it did flop, he turned on them and caused a shitstorm, until he was eventually banned.
Yeah, if you are wondering, Too Human was actually pretty lousy. Also, it was nearly lost media after a lawsuit revealed that a lot of the source code was actually plagiarized. It was worked on for over 8 years, and the source code was plagiarized. That is all kinds of pathetic.
He mentioned on a podcast that if they didn't reform, the website would soon crumble.
If you're going to look at the NeoGAF forum as a non-profit organization, If it does not reform itself, it's eventually going to start to crumble. And there's going to be a point where they step over the line where someone's going to shut them down.
Well,
Yeah, that's, foreshadowing is a literary device.
a broken clock is right twice a day. So I know you're now sitting there and wondering, how did everything go so wrong? Well, a combination of things. One of them being one of the most common ways for something to go wrong. Politics! As more people from professional backgrounds on the site.
That's gonna, yep, I predict my comment section is gonna be a shitstorm.
There was a very obvious growing population of people who were most definitely in favor of the left side of politics, in both the moderation and regular users.
Yeah, I know, it's weird thinking that tech companies used to be leftist, but yeah, that makes a lot of this really, it makes a very specific movement look absolutely stupid in hindsight. And as the saying goes, they're having you fight a race war when you should be fighting a class war. Or some shit like that. And don't actually have access to the quote.
This isn't just blind speculation, by the way. The owner of the site admitted there was a bias, in the moderation at least. But as long as they were respectful to anyone who didn't have the exact same opinions, it didn't matter.
They were never respectful. And they still aren't respectful.
The site became well known for people getting banned, and in the mod that banned you always gave some little snarky comment on why you're never coming back, with no way to defend yourself, and then they went back to doing it for free. As the 2010s came into the picture...
Yeah, it was basically the Reddit of its days.
The site moderation with its politics bias became worse and worse, especially with the rise of, oh my god, will this fucking peanut leave me alone?
Oh hey, you know the motto of the Gamergate movement too. Yeah, even the people on the side of Gamergate were absolutely sick of the movement and then wanted to die. But cloud chasers give no two fucks. Always remember, politics are a distraction in from capitalism. Sports are the ultimate scam.
Yeah, when you know what happened, NeoGAF was probably the biggest advocate for the feminism side than any other website on the web. Like, oh my god, any other opinions other than falling to your knees and worshipping Anita Sarkeesian were non-negotiable.
Oh, Anita Sarkeesian was a feminist YouTuber. I honestly don't remember what the fuck her deal was. Apparently she's making a comeback to combat the porn censorship. So, I guess Gamergate's finally over. Yeah, back in the day before it was... Yeah. To put it bluntly, to anyone getting into political discussions, don't. Just don't. The topic changes every 5 minutes. First it was feminism. Then LGBT issues. I mean, LGBT issues are coming back, but... Then it was the Iraq War II Electric Boogaloo, starring in Israel and Palestine. Yeah, get my picture now. Politics are basically the ultimate dividing tool and the biggest waste of time. Focus on capitalism, people. That is your target.
If you did not do exactly that, you were banned. Didn't agree with the consensus, you were banned. If you were in the gaming industry and didn't agree, banned. If you were Boogie2988, who was a regular on NeoGAF, you were banned.
I mean, you would have been banned anyway later on, to be fair.
NeoGAF
Oh, hey, I didn't know he had footage of Smogon. Yeah, sorry, I had to make that joke.
became infamous for this during this era. That, and since the mods just needed to get their epic quips out to make fun of you for being banned, you think NeoGAF is a place where you'll get banned for disagreeing? Well, you're wrong, and I'll show you by banning you. The website became toxic? That's the best way to describe it. Toxic.
Yeah, it was toxic. It was literally Reddit, except somehow even worse. Let that sink in.
It wasn't fun or interesting to talk. It was constant walking like eggshells to not upset the easily triggered mods. No one likes being around people like that. People in the industry started disassociating with them and calling them out. All this started piling up until things finally reached their peak.
Yeah, if you're wondering how the hell this ended and why no one talks about NeoGAF anymore, here's the punchline you were all waiting for.
In 2017, the owner of NeoGAF, Evilore, the guy who let his website get to this state, got Me Too'd. He allegedly did some things with a woman who did not.
Yep. Evilore was a fucking creep. He got banned from his own stand. It kind of
consent, and when his mod team and message board found out, they all turned on him. Most of the website called Evilore out and fled the site. But so many became so attached to the little hug box they had, a little too attached, the entire...
Yeah, that was a Reddit protest in a nutshell. Oh, just to get one more dig at it.
Entire website locked down during this. People who have been banned or hated NeoGAF rejoiced. It was a time of celebration. But eventually...
Yeah, I was also celebrating. Rich low tax can. Oh, yeah. You are. Oh, you are in no position to complain, low tax. I know. We all know what the fuck you did.
Eventually, the site would come back online. Evilore has since told off all the people who turned on him and now bans any and all political discussion. Now you do it after it affects you. You're about 10 years too late on that decision. And
yeah, and that's another reason you should never get into politics. People are human. I think that's kind of a given. Still. Chances are the politician you're following has a shit ton of skeletons in their closet. I mean, how else do you think they got into power? That is the first rule of leadership. Everything is your fault. Including the bodies.
And now, the website is still up.
Especially the bodies.
All but null. Ever since then, NeoGAF just sort of exists now. Nobody of note uses it anymore. And for the few that remain, it's just another gaming message board now. Whoop-de-doo. Meanwhile, all the fickle mods and users left have made their own NeoGAF.
With blackjack!
No hookers, though. That'd be too much fun. And they all went on to form Reset Era. And well, that, my friends, is a story for another day. But
yeah, story for another day that I'm probably not going to look into because I am probably going to die of cringe.
As it stands, NeoGAF went from one of the most influential gaming...
And this is coming from a fucking furry.
...boards to the place where you got...
Okay, yeah, this was the site I surprisingly never got into in the past. Probably should have, in hindsight, because it actually sounded kind of cool. I mean, sure, Tumblr was kind of a decent successor, but we all know how that ended.
This is my Twitter. Not to shill, but look at it. Besides my sexy profile picture and banner, look at how sterile it is. Where's the flash, the color, customization? Every Twitter profile will look the exact same, no matter how many little emojis you put in your name or the description. This goes for pretty much every currently used social media. The same design.
Yeah, that was one of the main things I missed from the old internet. But we sadly had to get rid of it because hackers made hijacking the sites easier using it, and that is why we can't have nice things anymore.
Structure, everything. It's also so lifeless. Why did we settle for this? Why are we all okay with having the taste of accountants? Well,
Security, unfortunately. I know that sounds hilarious coming from an era that gets user data leaked every Friday, but you know how the saying goes. Those who desire security over freedom obtains neither.
well, it didn't used to be like this. There used to be a social media site that was the exact opposite of this, and that site was MySpace. That one word will send a nostalgia tingle into the pants of every millennial. MySpace was the first ever hugely successful social media site on the internet. Yes, others came before it, but MySpace was the next level. If you used the internet in the early to mid 2000s, you had a MySpace. MySpace blew up into the stratosphere. Its popularity surged to
Yeah,
great
to say the
heights.
least.
It was the first time anything like this took off into the mainstream on the web. It was being used so much, it was actually the most used website on the planet at one point, even over Google. The search engine Google. MySpace.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to see why, in all honesty. I mean, it's social media. In the end, it's ultimately a communication tool, and it isn't communication the one thing about the internet that was made for. It simplifies things for the masses so that they could actually get their own shit out there.
MySpace set the standard for what many other social media sites use to this day, but what those social media sites can't match, even with how far we've come in terms of technology, is the customization. MySpace could not be matched in what you could do with your profile.
I mean, Tumblr came close, but not really by a whole lot. Not to mention, I don't think anyone really visits the Tumblr pages anymore. RIP.
The possibilities were actually endless here. You could do damn near anything, and that's exactly what people did. Every time you clicked on someone's profile, you were either given the bland boring design, or you were transported into another universe. Tons of these pages had a different theme to them, usually to reflect who the profile was. You didn't even need to talk to anybody. Just going through people's accounts was enough of a treat at times.
Yeah, and now there's a freaking core aesthetic based entirely around MySpace designs. Also why I kind of regret not having one in my teenage years. Oh, and saying that out loud, I can probably say that was probably for the best. As we'll soon learn.
People constantly finding increasingly cool ways to customize their accounts, and then others asking how they did it, and then sharing it with others. This was a major part of the MySpace experience. It seemed like an unstoppable juggernaut at its peak. So when do the problems arise? Well, you see, when you're the first of something, you don't really have an idea of what to do when problems start popping up, since this was technically the first of its kind to take off like it did. I've gone off about how everything is safe and sanitized these days and how the Wild West days were more fun, and I still stand by that. Since there were hardly any restrictions, you could find anything. But the thing is, when I say you could find anything, you could find anything. Including stuff that could potentially scar you for life, or turn you...
Yeah, that's one huge negative from the internet, but forums, like Something Awful, tend to make fun of those too, so yeah, I guess it balances out.
...to degenerate. Either one works.
I mean, it sounds toxic, but everyone kind of accepted toxicity for what it was.
MySpace never really...
It was the 2000s, okay?
The absolute scum of the earth could come onto their website, looking for teenagers who didn't know any better. It became a huge scandal for the website, and it was all over the news, that MySpace wasn't a safe place for minors.
Yeah, it was Elsagate before Elsagate. Problem was older than you all think. Ah, boy. Long before DeviantArt was known for inflation, long before we knew that Schmorky was showing shit to minors, literally in this case, and long before we knew Lotax was a domestic abuser and a druggie. Actually, I think everyone knew he was a druggie, but yeah, we do not miss those two. Rest in piss, you won't be missed, Lotax.
Attorneys general in every state but Texas say they've now taken a first step with MySpace toward protecting children from predators.
I believe this is one where technology got ahead of everybody.
This scandal was a huge blow to the website, but that wasn't all. As it was still a site created in the early 2000s, the tools used to make it quickly became outdated with the passage of time. And
yeah. Honestly, that was a pretty huge death knell to a lot of sites back in the day. Outdated software, outdated coding that was easily hackable, and, well, degenerates. But degenerates were always a problem, so yeah, it was mainly just the outdated coding.
And they ran into many difficulties trying to get it to adapt to ever-changing internet technology. Really, issue after issue just kept popping up, and so they kept having to fix them. But this was halted by the news media and government breathing down their necks, so everything started slowing down. Meanwhile, the world's first working humanoid android showed up and introduced a website called Facebook, and he...
Wait, was he a lizard person or an android? I can never tell. Or it keeps changing every day.
Actually offered to sell Facebook to MySpace, which they rejected. God, why do these fallen Titan brands always...
Yeah, it's weird how Tumblr also had something similar to this. And Yahoo. Actually, Yahoo's still around. Actually, wait, I think it is still around just as an email service.
Always have a part like this in them. When they are then surpassed by the thing they were offered to buy, then they fall into obscurity, which is exactly what happened here. MySpace couldn't adapt to the times, and Facebook came out looking a lot cleaner and sleeker than their updated website, and so everyone hopped on over. With the website now up in the air and losing money and traffic, it was sold and passed on over multiple times, even ending up in the hands of Justin Timberlake. But nothing...
Yeah, that's a weird bit of trivia for you.
...could do. We'll save it from the tar pits. Surprisingly, MySpace still exists, but just look at it. It's just like every other social media now. Sterile, safe, and constantly cluttering up your feed with crap. This is not the MySpace you grew up with. Not even close. It's just like all the rest. And
yeah. And shitification is sadly an inevitability with tech. Especially the venture capital ones.
Because of that, you really have no reason to use it over any other social media. I mean, when's the last time you've heard someone say, I'm gonna sign up for MySpace? It will forever remain a product of its time, for better or for worse. We're now stuck with these sterilized social media sites in the case nothing bad can happen, and some people just aren't fond of that. There's still a market for heavily customized web pages, and some sites have attempted to step in and fill the void.
Actually, did you know someone recreated the MySpace using Blue Sky? Yeah, no joke. I even made a page myself. I sadly don't really use it too often, but I still have it, and it's pretty fun. I'll be sure to leave a link in the description so you guys could check it out.
But for mainstream successes, MySpace will forever be remembered, but not used. Would you look at that? The video's almost over. Like all these failed social media sites, all good things must come to an end. Okay, well, some of them we could have done without. Now you can use your Twitters and your TikToks and your Facebooks. They may seem like they're riding high now, but you never know when it can all come crashing down. Especially considering who owns them right now. And now some places are now trying to ban them. So enjoy them.
Yeah. Leave it to someone who has lived through several of these sites' downfalls. They do not last forever. I mean, just look at Tumblr. One huge change just outright killed like 2/3 of its user base. And the other ones they made a new site, in my case. He's turned, whatever. It just isn't the same anymore. Gone are the days when we could actually network. Now it's just now in order to get noticed you have to post shit in groups, and even that's tedious.
Them while you can. If you can even enjoy using them in the first place, that is. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. Go follow me on Twitter, where I will never use it. I just like to see numbers go up.
Yeah, go subscribe to this dude's Twitter. If you still have a Twitter. I don't, so that sucks.
Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus. Google
Oh yeah, that guy's still around, actually.
Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus.
He makes shorts now.
Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Google Plus. You know I love that Google Plus. That fucking Google Plus. Google Plus. Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. Don't worry, Google Plus. We're cool. All good, Google Plus. You guys didn't see it.
I did not see anything. But yeah, that was the fall of social media of old. I gotta say, it was actually pretty fun to check these sites out. Oh man. Makes you realize just how long you've been on the internet. Well, regardless, I'm gonna go touch grass, so I'd like to thank everyone for coming to this reaction video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone.